Nice, excellent, sir.
Okay, great. So today it's more of a revision class, so I will not share any slides with you, but we will just go through some of the topics that we have discussed, and then we can also discuss any questions, doubts, observations that you may want to share. Okay, so if you remember, we have been one aspect that we have talked about in talent management is that the whole idea of talent management is to focus on the best talent that you have in the organization. And we had based it on the Pareto principle that 20% of your people get you 80% of the results in the company. So we have to focus on the top 20% in the company. And it's very similar to what HR does, but HR does it as a generic whole for everybody in the organization. Whereas talent management's focus is your top performers, your fast trackers, or as they say it in Unilever, the listers, the top list people who are the best performers. So the whole focus of talent management is that area. Now, there are various aspects of this talent that we have spoken about. So there is, if there is a skill gap, then we look at learning and development and how learning and development can help us address any competency gaps for the best performers, and how learning and development is a very close relationship has a very close relationship with talent management, and they go hand in hand in terms of addressing the skill gaps. Next is, we have spoken about employee retention, hiring and retention. That is very, very critical, particularly in today's world, where simultaneously, particularly in India, we see that there is a dearth of skilled people, dearth of very competent people, and at the same time, there is a excess of people looking for employment across the economy. So these two very contradictory things are going on simultaneously. You are short of talent, and the other side there is a excess of talent, which is not getting a suitable opportunity. So and the reason is that they are not right skilled, maybe well educated but not right skilled. Right skilling is very critical, and talent management particularly has to ensure that your people who are performing at the top continue to perform at the top. They have the right skills, the right motivation, the right ecosystem to support them, so they keep delivering the value that talent management expects them to deliver. So you have to not only invest in their learning, but you have to ensure they continue in the organization. Retention is very, very critical. We have spoken a bit about diversity and inclusion. These are some, talking about some key challenges today in talent management. So, diversity, and please feel free to ask me, as I go along, any questions that come to your mind, because I'm just talking about the main challenges in talent management, and then we will come to a question and answer session. So, the whole concept of diversity was born in the US. Among all the Western countries, the US has the biggest economy, and they also have the most diverse working population, because the term that is used for the United States of America is melting pot, because different people of different nationalities come and join the US workforce. And that's why uh, something that Indians can be proud of, that some of the well-known CEOs in America, including Indians like Sundar Pichai, Satya Nadella, and Krishna from IBM. So, so in America there is enormous diversity, and people from different nationalities are there. They are decision makers for large corporations. But originally, the idea came from gender diversity, that if all the decision making in a company is done by old white people, then the decisions may not be sensitive to the global expansion of these companies. So, particularly IT companies, banking companies like IBM, Morgan Stanley, Google, Microsoft, they are all based globally. They are all spread out in maybe 170, 180, 190 countries. There are around 200 countries in the world. So they are practically there in every country, maybe not in a small island. So uh, the original idea of diversity came from these globalizing companies, that you cannot have all the decision making done by Caucasian white old people. If you do that, then you may not be sensitive to the ground realities in other countries. Uh, because I worked in IBM, I can share that IBM was a company from 1921. They had set up their base in Brazil, outside America, and other countries. So they already got a feel of what different cultures feel like. So therefore, the decision was taken that American companies would have a more diverse decision making. They would include maybe women, people who are not uh, Caucasian, that is, they are not of white ethnic race, non whites, etc. So that is where diversity came from, the whole idea of diversity. But in India, we are, if America is diverse, we are 10x diverse, because we have so many different cultures, so many different ways of looking at things. So, therefore, for us, diversity comes very naturally, and we navigate through diversity quite comfortably. But along with diversity, also is the challenge of being inclusive, that your rules, regulations, procedures accommodate people from diverse backgrounds, and they are made to feel comfortable. People who are from a different gender, women. Now, we are also inclusive of people who are the LGBTQ, etc. So, diversity, basically, the value that diversity brings to the table in a company is that people bring different mindsets, different perspectives, different viewpoints, and this results in a much better decision making. This goes against groupthink. So, groupthink is the enemy of better decision making. Because if everybody is thinking the same thing, everybody is thinking on the same lines, then whatever blind spot you may have, that never gets uncovered until the decision goes wrong. So, groupthink is the enemy of good decision making. Diversity is the friend of good decision making. Diversity and inclusion allow you to decide better and implement better decisions. Next big challenge that talent management is facing today is the changing workforce demographics. You have now so many generations of workforce. You have the baby boomers who are just about retiring from the workforce. You have Gen X, Gen Z, millennials. You have all of these people, all these different generations working together. And when you have all these different generations working together, just like we were talking about diversity of ethnicity, of culture, similarly, when you have diversity of generations, there is bound to be some friction. But also, how do you navigate through this? How do you ensure that somebody who's, let's say, 58 and somebody who's 21, they are working together, there is no discomfort, and they are able to collaborate comfortably? So that is very important, and we need to ensure that there is less conflict and better collaboration between all the generations who are working together. Also, I think another very, very important challenge that talent management will face more and is already facing today is the gig economy. Anybody, any thoughts on the gig economy?
Sir, can you repeat? Is it key economy or gig economy? I didn't quite get it.
Yeah, I said one challenge that is facing the talent management department is the gig economy. What is the gig economy? How is it a challenge? Yes, Pratik.
So now this means that government has done that partnership with private, like that in corporate also, that this partnership is going on. Like IT systems has been given to TCS and that also it's right. So this type of working will isolation, the working will be that is called gig economy.
Okay. Anybody would like to add to what Pratik said?
Short term contracts or freelancing, which is, approaching to the gig economy and contributing a lot in that.
Yes. Good. Uh, yeah.
I
Yeah. Yeah. Please go ahead.
I
Somebody. Yeah, Avinash.
Avinash here, sir. I might not be sure, but I just wanted to add that it's my personal opinion. I might be wrong again, sir.
Hmm.
That it's a shortcut that the without having to deal with a lot of training or anything else that the companies wants to just go for this.
Hmm. Yes, and I think in chat Vishal Tyagi has written it's part-time work, flexible work, or contract on-demand work. Okay, yeah, good observations. So, yes, you're right. Basically, I think Pratik, what you're referring to is outsourcing. So here we are not really talking about outsourcing because when you give some work to a big company like TCS, then you are just outsourcing part of your IT department to TCS or any large company. So that is the theory of core competency. The theory of core competency propounded by C.K. Prahlad, who was an Indian management guru teaching in the US, says that any company should focus on their core competency. If I am Unilever, then I will focus on retail. I will not get into IT. I will not get into, let's say, production. I'm focused on uh, basically producing FMCG goods and distributing them, not on white goods and other things. So I will not get into all of that. I will just focus narrowly on my core competency, and rest of the things I will outsource. The first company which outsourced on a very big scale in India was Airtel. Airtel except focused on telecom, and rest of the things they all outsourced, including training. They gave it out to various companies. But the gig economy is an economy where you get your things done by very small operators. Let's say you want your training to be done by a small consulting company. You want your laptops to be fixed by a small company, based somewhere near your headquarters, or some, you just give out the work, and some individual or two, three individuals come and do the work for you. And this is becoming more and more common. Earlier, you would, like you rightly said, maybe go for a company like TCS or some big company. But today, more and more people are going out to individuals who may be offering a certain service. So that is the gig economy, that people who take up small assignments, temporary assignments, but important assignments. These are given to individuals or a set of individuals. They do the work. Now, how do you ensure that you get quality work? How do you ensure that these people are dependable? The work that is given to them. So since this is happening, this is on a global scale. This is happening all over the world, that the small operators are operating and contributing very critically. With the coming of automation and AI, also these people are maybe small in numbers, maybe they have a very small company, but they are taking up more assignments which are critical, which are more strategic, and which earlier used to be done by large companies. So how do you handle this kind of a workforce? Because some of your best work will be done by best gig workers who are not your employees. So you have to now expand the range of talent management to cover some people who are generating a lot of value for you but are not your employees. So while they are working for you, maybe you have to look at their employee engagement levels. Maybe you have to look at their competency levels. Maybe you have to look at their motivation levels. So therefore, the scope of talent management becomes even bigger. So the changing demographics, the changing nature of work is something that talent management has to grapple with. Then we talked about learning and development. Learning and development is very critical. Sometimes L&D and talent management are used interchangeably. But as I said, talent management, you need to focus on the best performers, your top 20% as per Pareto. Uh, Wage inflation, that is something which is ongoing, particularly in developing countries, in emerging economies like India or Vietnam or South American countries, because our inflation is about at 6 or 7%, whereas in developed economies it's only about 1% or maximum 1.5 or 2%. So there the compensation does not change as rapidly as it changes in the developing economies. So how do you deal with wage inflation at the same time you retain and develop your top talent? Next is employee engagement. That is a big challenge because people are very distracted nowadays. People are also job hopping and they keep moving from one organization to another. How do you engage your employees better? And engagement is connected with higher productivity, higher impact. So an engaged employee generates maybe 2x productivity as compared to an employee who's not engaged. And an employee who's not engaged has not only an impact on productivity, but overall on the culture of the organization, the ecosystem of the organization, and therefore you have to engage people better. Uh, the list of legal compliances, that is something which keeps growing. So now you have a set of new labor laws that you need to look at from a talent management perspective. So that is again something that one has to work around.
Sir, if you
Yes,
can I actually wanted your take on it, sir. So
yes, please go ahead.
is it good that companies, big companies are, at on a minute scale that they are outsourcing some of, whether to take an example, IT support. Suppose a big
Hmm.
company like Unilever
Hmm.
takes IT support, and because we saw a lot of during Corona and after Corona, this is happening a lot, that
Hmm.
we don't want to, have an internal team or internal department taking care of such certain aspects of the company's, um, regular processes.
Right.
So I always felt it is being done because so that there will be less responsibility to the companies, because they don't have to deal with a lot of employee support, whether it is medical insurance or whatever,
Hmm.
things like that, and it becomes easy for them. But at the same time, doesn't it also hamper in the overall develop like field, staffs in a country, their development? Because nobody is safe anymore. Nobody is secure with their jobs anymore. That we used to see when our fathers or their fathers were having.
Yes, Avinash, you're right. So this is a genuine challenge that is facing our economy, and overall the nature of employment is changing. So as they say, the only thing permanent is change, and this is a change that we, like it or not, we have to deal with. We have to work around it. We have to ensure that the minuses of this situation are addressed and the pluses are leveraged. So This is something which is here to stay. We cannot do much about it. But what HR can do is that you develop very strong relationships with the small operators who are delivering value. Have quality checks in terms of the deliverables that they are delivering to your organization. Ensure a better connect with the personnel who are interacting with your team or your company. So these are things that have to be done, and ensure that if required, you may also want to invest in the competency development of the gig workers who are working with you if you have a long term relationship with them. So you are right that this is benefiting the companies because they have to give less benefits. It's more flexible, and it is not beneficial for many workers, like you said about our father's generation, where people would work in a company. It would be stable relationship, and sometimes they would work for 1 2 decades for a particular company. So that sort of a stability is gone, and you have to live in an environment where things are more dynamic, things are more flexible, things are more uh, they are changing more rapidly, so they are kind of in flux, so to say. Nothing is really settled, but you have to navigate through this. There is no other way out of this. So, like for example, you have a national pension scheme. So you may not be working in a company which will offer you pension like the government does, but you can create your own separate pension while you are working, doing the gig work for various companies. So let me give you an example. The multinational companies, some of the multinational companies, not all, but some multinational companies, when they go out of their mother country, if they are from England or from America or from France or Germany or wherever they are. So when they go to a developing economy, many of them have this philosophy that they do not want to own any property anywhere. This is I'm talking about, in the 1990s, in the first decade of the 2000s. Their policy would be that they would take all their real estate on a lease. They would never purchase any real estate, have no holdings. And the reason behind this was that they are absolutely flexible and they can close shop and leave the country within 24 hours. So that is the kind of rapid change that they were prepared for. Now, earlier that was meant only for real estate and as physical assets. Today, that is being practiced by companies not only for physical assets but for the people, for the entire ecosystem of the company. That everything is flexible, everything can be changed in 24 to 48 hours. That is the flexibility that the organizations get. They are not held down by employee benefits and other responsibilities. They're absolutely flexible. They are only interested in getting the work out of people. So for the company there are certain advantages, but for the individuals, you are right that, like, the advantages which our fathers had, in terms of fixed employment, in terms of a long term career, that is shrinking today. So one has to prepare oneself accordingly. You create your own separate pension scheme, you have your provident fund, you keep upskilling yourself, and at times it's also an opportunity to grow faster. In an organization you would be there for years and years, and you would have to follow the norms, procedures and policies of that company. But today, if you are very good, if you are very skilled in the work that you do, you can move much faster than what you would have done had you been in regular employment for a large company. Okay, so you have to look at what are the advantages of the situation, maximize the advantages, look at what are the disadvantages, minimize the disadvantages. So that's how you work around a change situation. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir, it does. It does. I was, if you allow me, I was also thinking how to manage talent when the company,
Hmm.
suppose I have come across companies which outsources or like takes this gig. kind of working, even with respect to field force also. Like I'm a
Yes.
company, I'm having a third party agency
Right.
which
Mm,
takes care of the field force, which go and markets or sells my product to the customers. So
mm.
how to train them, how to do anything with respect to talent management or process, um, sorry,
Yeah.
performance related aspects.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Very good question. And here, what we have been discussing so far and what you will discuss the next 5 lectures, basically you have to look at them with a fresh perspective, that how do you do this for outsourced employees. And this outsourcing model is becoming more and more common. You will see a lot of companies where they outsource work to somebody. They even create their emails and differentiate them by saying, let's say, Avinash is the person they have outsourced the work to. So Avinash is not a regular employee. So they will say Avinash.consultant at the rate whatever the company's name is. You know,
Right, sir.
yeah. So this is becoming more and more common, that you outsource, like you rightly said, field force. So many companies, they do not want to take up liabilities like gratuity payment, uh, PF, medical benefits, all that for a large set of employees. Fields employees typically tend to be large in numbers for big companies, so they don't want to get into all that hassle. So they outsource it to some other company which specializes in people management, like team lease, and then they just get their work done, and pay a lump sum amount, and their long term liabilities are taken care of. There are no long term liabilities. So therefore, that is the flexible model that talent management also has to adopt and adapt. That you keep changing. You may have to invest in talent management. It's an investment. You may have to invest in the people who are your gig workers, who are not on your roles, but who are delivering some work for you. So you have to invest in them. You have to ensure they're learning in the right. For example, I will just give you an example. I'm a consultant with an agri-tech company, and the agri-tech company spent some time in helping me understand what is the agri-tech industry all about, what are the dynamics of the industry, because I had to create some content for them. So first they invested in me by introducing me to some of their field force, their head of sales, then explaining what their products are. So these are all small investments they have to do so that they are able to get the best value from the gig worker. And all the things that we have spoken about, for example, learning and development, employee engagement, employee retention, these are all things that you have to extend to the gig worker also, if you want good value coming out of the gig worker. So that's a flexibility that we have to show in this changing world. So it's the VUCA world. We use CA. So V stands for volatile, U stands for uncertain, C stands for complex, and A stands for ambiguous. So, volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous, these are terms that is used for the changing world that we live in. So, therefore, talent management also cannot expect itself to be a fixed 30-year program. It has to keep reinventing itself. It has to be flexible. It has to keep changing and also extend its arm to include the gig workers to get the best results. Uh, then we have spoken about succession planning, and succession planning is something that talent management should uh, focus on to ensure that you have continuity in work. Should there be unfortunate episodes like COVID or some natural calamities, etc., or maybe even because of the mobility of people, senior people leaving and joining elsewhere. So you should have a succession plan based approach to new people taking over important roles. So some future trends of talent management, you have focus on skill based hiring. More and more hiring will be skill based, not on degree based. Like I'm a MBA from X place, so it's a wow, you are an MBA from so and so school. But it is going to be more of, do you have that particular skill or not? I don't care if you're from IM or ISB or wherever. Do you have that particular skill or not? So that is a focus area that is happening. More personalized learning and development. Today you have lot of data analytics. You have ways of customizing the learning and development, more focused rather than generic kind of programs going for focusing on everybody. You have more remote work and virtual teams. You have to ensure that your talent management program focuses on all the virtual employees as well, not just the gig employees. Decision making is going to be more data driven. So in talent management, the decisions that you take, that is going to be very data driven, based on solid analytics. We have already spoken about gig work and flexible work arrangements. Focus on employee well-being. This is a very critical differentiator. You can retain good talent provided you focus on employee well-being. So it is not a good to do thing anymore. It's a must. Earlier, it was a good to do thing. You did it from the goodness of your heart if you felt nice about employee well-being. Tata started it very early, and most companies do it, but many companies don't as well. But tomorrow, it is going to become a necessity. It is not going to be optional. Next is continuous performance management. You cannot just do analysis and sit quietly, oh, I have done a performance assessment. You have to do it on a real time basis. And you have to accommodate, not only accommodate, but leverage AI, automation, machine learning, all these new age practices which are coming up. So I rest my case that talent management is very critical because, as uh, Peter Drucker said in the 1990s, that there is a war for talent. You have to have the right talent. It's not just enough to have good products or good buildings or fancy offices, but you have to have the best talent. That is your key differentiator in today's market. And these are some of the challenges and opportunities that there are for talent management. So, with that, I will close my summarization of the last few sessions that we have done. Now, I invite you to share your observations, questions, doubts that you may have.
Yes, sir. Can I?
Yes, go ahead, Pratik.
Sir, last session I was not available. So performance management you won't have spoken. I have not read I have not gone through your link as well.
Hmm.
But one thing is that the bell curve which has been used in the organization, right? One side we are asking that required performance management should be given to the person, and other side that bell curve shows that half of the people, even they are performing well, they are being sided down. So how to means how to understand and how to deal with, because one side we are happy with some talent, they are performing at five six peoples are, and they're in one group of activity, all of them are performing a peak, and in that also it has been divided, so with
Mhm.
challenging. So how to overcome new things means which methodology to be used so that this activity, because this is generating a depression, जो अच्छा है सबके साथ उसको अच्छा मिल जाता है फिर वैसा ही हो जाता है.
Yes. So, anybody else has question related to the bell curve? I think that's a very good question which Pratik has asked, and it's connected very closely to talent management. So, anybody else who has a similar thought or query around this?
We
Okay,
have
if not,
we have heard a lot about the bell curve, but
mhm,
yes, we don't know about the depth of it, how they manage it, how it works, how they maintain it.
mhm. Yes. Yeah, thank you, Neelam. Okay, so I will just give a background, a little bit of background, and then we can discuss the question which Pratik has asked. So bell curve was majorly, maybe it was used by smaller companies as well, but it was majorly pioneered, and in India we became familiar with the bell curve thanks to GE. GE extensively practiced the bell curve. Their CEO Jack Welch, who was the CEO from 1977 to 2001, he practiced the bell curve, and basically what the bell curve does is that it looks at the top performers and says that we will invest only in the top 20 or 30%. Rest of the people we will not invest in, and then the bottom 10%. In G, I'm not saying other companies also do that, but in G, the bottom 10% they used to get rid of. They were asked to leave the company. So people forcibly were fitted into either the top 30%, the next 60% who were not maybe given an increment, and then the bottom 10%. The bottom 10% were generally asked to leave. So you had to force fit people in the bell curve. And what is very dangerous about the bell curve is that uh, suppose I have the best hiring practice. I hire the best people. Let's say I am Hindustan Unilever or ITC or a Marico or a Dabur, and I recruit people from all the top management institutes. So if I have 100 new recruits, they are all from very good background. They are all very competent. But next year, I will do a bell curve, and among this very 100 people, I will focus on only the top 30% and give them very good increments, and other 60% I will tell them that you are not good enough, and the bottom 10% I will ask them to leave. But these 100 people in another company, they would have been cherished because they are from the best school. But bell curve is very restrictive because it allows me to focus on only the top 30% and ignore the rest of the 70% or get rid of even 10%. Now, that is a force fitting that happens. Everybody is dying to get into the top 30%. And I can personally say this because I've worked in GE for 6 years, and I know the struggle to stay out of the 10% and try to get into the top 30%. And so the struggle becomes so toxic at times that it becomes counterproductive. It spoils the organizational culture if it is not done properly. In GE, it was done properly with sensitivity, with good processes. I will not go into all of that right now. But uh, Pratik, to your question, the good news is that companies like Accenture, they have given up the bell curve. They have stopped using the bell curve, and more companies are stopping the use of bell curve. Now, why bell curve emerged? There were two reasons. One, the companies wanted to be super aggressive. They wanted only the best and the best and would get rid of the rest. So that was one reason. Second is very large companies like Google or TCS or if Infosys, very large companies have a very large workforce. Now, when they have a huge workforce, their budget for increment, for promotions also is very large, and that is a significant part of their cost. It also varies from the industry to industry that you for example, in IT or BPO or FMCG, the headcount cost is about 20-30% of your overall cost. So when you are doing your budgeting for employee investment and employee growth, then the budget becomes very significant, and you would want to use a bell curve to ensure the budget does not break all limits. You know, But in companies where the headcount cost, the people cost is only about 9 or 10%, particularly in manufacturing, in leasing, and certain industries, there the bell curve may not be a necessity, because anyway the employee cost is just 10% of the overall cost structure. So it bell curve typically got followed in the service industry, and service industry tends to be more competitive than manufacturing, and therefore it was used to control the budget, to be competitive. These were the reasons. But today, from the back end, if your planning is better, which Accenture is doing, is that their entire budgeting for employee development is done in such a way that they can accommodate increments for a larger cross section of people. They don't have to do a force fit. One word which went along with bell curve is force fit. You have to forcibly put people in the top 20% or top 30% or top or bottom 10%. So this force fitting was a very painful exercise, and there was constant friction between people, HR, their managers, and therefore to do away with that friction, big companies like Accenture are giving up on bell curve. They are having a fairly large budget for people cost, and they are accommodating their entire performance management in a non bell curve sort of an approach, where you have a wider cross section of people getting increments, or being recognized, or being retained, and ensuring that their performance is taken care of, and they are motivated to deliver their best. So I hope that kind of answers your question.
Sir, one more thing I would like to share. Sir, you absolutely gave a right answer, and most big organization are leaving. Okay, now they are also might have lost many things because of that bell curve. Now, one more important thing is that there are three layers of the organization. One is top level, one is department HOD, and below worker, supervisor, executives. Right? A organization does not achieve the goal, the senior leadership gets PMS, whatever it is. Now, PMS it mostly cut out at executive or below level, right? Now, in organization, decision and direction has been taken by senior leadership. All the activities had been done by HOD, whatever been asked, achieved the goal, but still the performance management is poor for below people and good for higher people. Okay. Now the thing is, what should be the criteria for PMS of senior leadership? With top three, four people, like for example, plant head, it would be called quality head or HR head, or I am talking of that level, finance head, decision makers. So, what should be the PMS criteria and direction for them?
So it really varies very sharply in many companies. I'm talking about extreme cases where the CEO compensation is supposed to be 300 times the workers' compensation, and there is a huge discrepancy between what the top management gets and what the bottom player, or the lowest level layer, the frontline staff get. So it really right now as we speak, the Starbucks union is on strike in America, and they are demanding, and one of the reasons is that the huge discrepancy between the CEO's compensation and the workers compensation. So this is a common phenomena across industry, across companies. um, so it really depends on the company if they wish to reduce the difference. For example, if you look at the government doesn't have such a high discrepancy. Even somebody who's at a secretary level gets a salary of 3 to 4 lakhs, and while the most experienced peon, who's not even an employee, gets about 60,000 or 50,000 rupees after pay commission. So if your secretary is getting 4 lakhs and a peon is getting 50,000 rupees, so there is not much of a discrepancy. But that doesn't happen in the private sector. The private sector returns are very, very high. So there can be two ways of looking at it. One, the equity way of looking at it. Is this fair, unfair? Okay. So on paper, it doesn't look to be fair because the salary is decided by the board and by the CEO, and they help themselves to a larger chunk of the pie generally. But to be very honest, what I've seen is the leadership decisions that has a huge impact on our organization. For example, Infosys pays their CEO, Mr. Parekh, and before him, Mr. Vishal Sikka. They were paid huge salaries, but the leadership also brings a value to the table which is exponentially higher than the workers or the mid-level people. So leadership is very critical, needs to be compensated very well so that you get the best leadership. That is the reality of the economy. You will get the best leadership only if you are also paying very well and you have a good reward and recognition system, you have a good ecosystem, good reputation, good brand equity. So, for example, all the IT companies, all the banking companies, the leadership is the layer which goes and achieves the joint ventures or the new initiatives or the new product launches or the new strategy in the market. And these have a huge impact on the entire company, their products, their services, their market reach, everything. So the decisions of the leader are very critical. Sometimes it does, when you look at the numbers, it does feel very unfair that why are they being compensated so much? But personally, and I agree that it is not fair to have so much of a discrepancy between the compensation. But personally, what I've seen is the leadership decisions are so critical that if the wrong decision is made, the company may collapse and disappear. So sometimes it's okay to be as liberal as possible with CEO compensation.
Sir, I've raised this point because I have seen I was in organizer for 6 years. 3 or 4 years it was good. Now
Hmm.
the HR head was such that he made so bad decisions that now the balance sheet is also not allowing anything more. Now, in that case, I've seen this, and my 6 years I was in HR. I'm from M-Farm background, but we have a training mechanism in pharma. So on
Hmm.
that basis, I came to know. I've been field. I've understood all entire journey what happened, and now they are facing a critical challenges. So in that case, I said, now what should be the criteria for a senior leadership team who makes decision and that decision spoils almost 2000, 3000 employees career, and
Right.
henceforth my this point came to the question.
Okay. Okay. Great. Thank you. That was an important point. Any other questions that anybody may have?
So largely it is found that when the performance is good, then all the credits are taken by the top management. And the performance is bad, then they pass on it to the lower people that you have performed not well. That's why the performance is good. Then how the talent will nurture?
Yes,
You have
that's
to take responsibility. The top management has also to take responsibility and make changes accordingly.
yes, absolutely. You're right. Um so uh, that is whoever is powerful decides if something goes wrong. The powerful decide who is going to be held responsible for what has gone wrong, and the powerful naturally will not say that I am responsible because very few people say that. Some people do, but few. So they will say, oh, that fellow is responsible, this fellow is responsible, that chap is responsible, but not me. So, but a good culture would say that I am responsible and I will take the ownership for this and we will make the change that is required. Like, you know, uh, recently there is, yeah, that is integrity. Absolutely. Recently we are seeing these indigo cancellations that are happening. But is anybody taking responsibility? I don't think so.
No, no,
And
no.
and the Indigo frontline, passengers are shouting at them, screaming at them, threatening them, and they are suffering. But you know, but the higher ups, nobody is catching them. So therefore, somebody needs to take responsibility. Generally, what integrity would say, what right ethical practice would say, is that the person who is closest to the decision should take responsibility for this. And there is a small difference between responsibility and accountability. Accountability is the ultimate form of responsibility. So whoever does whatever, if somebody, let's say, I am in the public works department and some worker has uh, done some mistake which has resulted in an accident, so the responsibility is that of the worker, but the accountability lies with the engineer who is heading that area. So accountability has to be fixed, and uh, that person has to own up and say that, I am responsible. But you are right, most of the time we pass the blame to somebody else and we grab the credit. Moment there is something good, oh, I did it. And moment there is something bad, oh, he did it. So
In
that
that
is,
case, how to nurture talent? Because the people at the down level, they are knowing that the decisions made by the top management is giving this boomerang, but still they cannot do anything. Take the case of this Indigo itself. The management, top management, taken the decision,
yeah.
and the people who are at the receiving end, they are getting threatened. They are being abused. They are being shouted.
Absolutely, absolutely. So that is the culture of the organization, that you have to this culture has to be practiced. That all the whether it is a credit or discredit, both of them, it is the decision makers who are responsible for that. The people in the middle or down below, they are responsible for implementing the decision, but the decision that is taken at the highest level. If it goes right, credit goes to them. If it goes wrong, discredit also should be taken by them. That is the culture that should be nurtured, but sometimes it does get nurtured, sometimes it doesn't.
Here in case of Indigo, they are not serious. Government is telling that keep it right within 2 3 days. They are telling that it will take 10 days time, 15 days time. This is
Right.
the scenario.
Absolutely, absolutely. That is something which needs to be addressed, definitely. Yes. I think let's come to Nikita, and then Pratik will come to you. Nikita, you have a question?
Good morning, Dipankar. Thank
Or
you so much for this. I don't have a question. I think what we're discussing, the accountability or the responsibility, I think it stems even deeper than just taking responsibility or accountability. I think it stems from two things, which is one fear and the other is shame. If we somehow start normalizing both the things,
mm,
I
yeah,
think it will not be so much of a cultural issue. We have to normalize that people make mistakes. We have to normalize that things can go wrong. We have to normalize that, higher ups or even lower downs can screw up. So basically, I think the culture is driven when we normalize um, the fear that if I do something wrong or if I take the responsibility, I will be losing my job. Or the shame that comes with it. Oh my God, you being at such a higher level. If we can normalize that, I
mm,
think the culture automatically follows. Um,
yeah.
I think it's much deeper than the surface level. What we are talking about is what I feel. You can correct me if I'm going
Yes,
wrong.
you are. No, no, you are right. Human emotions are at the kind of base of how humans operate. So if we dig deeper, yes, sense of shame, sense of normalizing what is not right. Uh, so there is a French word for this, where even shame is nothing. It does not impact anybody negatively. It's called blasé. I'm like absolutely shameless.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's why in Europeans, they have this concept of nude beaches and stuff
yeah.
like that because they've evolved themselves to a sense of
Mm,
uh, having no inhibitions, no shame in whatever they are. They accept them who they are
yeah.
as they are. So I think India has a very long way to go in that.
Mm,
One, we being a extensively populated country where everyone is a shark. Uh, Also, I feel because of that, there is so much competitiveness in the basic nature of how we operate. Um, be it from um, like I see a lot of mothers, posting videos of their children recognizing colors or probably this. There's so much competitiveness in that as well that, my child is 1 year, 4 months, and they can recognize colors. We are a culture, I think we as Indians or Asians, in fact, are a culture which seek approval from outside in. And that's why that shame, and I don't know if we can do some research on this and understand how this can be tweaked culturally. I think India can be one of superpowers in the world, which we are becoming slowly and steadily. But still, in work culture, I think we'll become very far and wide.
yeah,
So
I agree. So I think like you mentioned Asia, I feel that apart from Asia, Africa, South America, wherever resources are scarce and there are too many vying for limited resources, there the challenges tend to be more. People tend to be more competitive, and I think that is the reason we are very competitive because we have scarce resources and we have too many people vying for those resources. That kind of comes with the situation. So that is true of all the developing economies. Yeah, we are, and I think the overall the Indian middle class is quite educated. We are producing the maximum number of engineers in the world, doctors in the world, uh, trained professionals in the world. India is 1.4 billion as a nation, so we are now becoming the workforce of the world, so to say, not just for India but globally. We are, the labor markets across are impacted by the Indian skills. We are very competitive. You're right that if my 14-month son can do this, look what he can. So, in many parts, particularly in South India, if you travel, if you open the newspaper, you will see, the newspaper will tell you that from Hyderabad, that number of people have gone into IITs or NITs or this or that. This is all big news. In America, you will not, if you go to a small town, you will not see newspapers of who's become an engineer or a doctor. They don't care, so that's our culture, or
yeah,
the culture of any economy which is trying to kind of get better and better.
developing,
Yeah.
yes. But I still feel, if we can just remove that shame and normalize it, the shame and the regret, and I don't know, those human emotions, if we can somehow normalize it, I think the culture will be so fluid in any organization.
Yeah, I think we will probably save it for another day, the discussion, but it's a long discussion that is possible in terms of, sociologically, we are evolving as a society. We are entering modernity slowly and steadily. With modernity comes a lot of advantages and a lot of disadvantages also. Earlier, people lived in collective, large, joint, extended families, and everybody took care of each other. Today, we are nuclearizing, so people are becoming more of individuals. They don't like to share. Like we were just talking, it's wedding season. There are a lot of weddings going on, and earlier, one person who was arranging the wedding, he was saying that, look, I have to arrange for 30 rooms for 30 guests. Earlier, in one room, 20 people would just lie down and just have a good time, chit chat. Today, everybody needs a separate room because in modernity, everybody is individual. While in pre-modern societies, everybody was like, I could get along with anybody because we were not very individuated or separated from each other. So India is going through that transition, and that transition has a lot of good things are there in traditional societies. People care for each other. There is a warmth which is there in pre-modern societies. But in modern societies, you have a scientific way of thinking. You have you know uh, clear professional values, like for example, timing. 10 o'clock means 10 o'clock. But in pre-modern societies, 10 o'clock could be 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock. How do I care? So there are a lot of advantages and disadvantages. The challenge is that when you're moving from one type of society to another type of society, in between, what is the value system you're going to have? That is the challenge, because you are confused between which value to nurture and which value to ignore. And in sociology, there is a term for that. It's called anomy. Anomy means, nomy is norms. Any society driven by rules, regulations, norms. Anomy is when the norms collapse. There is no norms. So, it's a free for all. So that is a risk of all transitioning societies, that how do you transition to, and that is shown even in our corporate world, that you will go to many organizations where the boss is like god. Everybody touching his feet. I see it in North India regularly, people touching their feet and saying, sir, kaise ho? While you've never heard of anybody touching anybody's feet in the West. So these are changing norms. It's very exciting, actually, if you go deeper and kind of investigate these things. But anyway, we will save that discussion for another day. So I'm also a personal coach, a performance coach. I help people improve their performance, and I don't charge for that. I generally interact with 5 people at a time. So in case anybody needs to kind of understand their performance better and look at how they can improve, you can reach out to me one to one.
How, sir? How to reach out to you, sir? I raised my hand already.
Yeah, can you share your number?
Yeah, it's 98
One second. 98
115
115
00
00
184.
184.
That's it. So great, wonderful interacting with all of you. There are 5 more sessions to go for talent management, and you will have a new instructor. But I'm also available for any doubts, any questions that you may want to reach out for. And I wish you all the best, and hope that you go from strength to strength.
Sir, once again repeat number.
I will just put it down.
Yeah.
1 minute.
So yeah, you can take it from Prateek.
Prateek, you can put it in the group.
Okay, in that group I won't be, but I put it in here.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm putting it in the chat also.
So I've kept it.
Prateek shared, sir.
Okay, great. So wonderful. Thank you, everyone. Have a
No,
great
sir.
day.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. You spent this today also with us, clearing a lot of doubts, summarizing everything we have discussed.
Sir, in short, it is all about the
Always,
balance, right?
Sorry.
It is all about the balance that we.
Absolutely.
It is all about the balance, and what the Nikita said was the self-awareness in the leader. The higher the organization goes.
Self-awareness is always very important, and the first and the most important step towards growth. When you are aware of yourself, your strengths, weaknesses, threats, opportunities. So great. Thank you. Have a great day and great week ahead.
thank you,
Thank
sir.
you, sir.
Thank you so much. Same to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye, sir.